Hi all, in today's video, we'll be discussing how I used the Italian game to get to 1200 within just a few months after I started playing chess. We'll be going over the main ideas that make the Italian game ideal for beginners or for new players, the main variations of the Italian game, and the popular fried liver tactic. The Italian game starts with the move e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to c4. Now let's discuss what's going on the board. As you can see, we have the kingside knight and the kingside bishop developed instantly. They're also developed towards the center and attacking the kingside. As a new player, your priority should be to familiarize yourself with the board, develop all your pieces as soon as possible, and not blunder your pieces. You can win almost all your games under 1200 if you don't hang your pieces. Now, the way to avoid hanging your pieces as you're still learning is to always have them defended by a pawn or another piece. This is where the Italian game comes into play. The Italian game allows you to develop your pieces rapidly, which is another area of focus as a new player. Benefits of developing your pieces right away is that it allows you to control more space on the board and gives you more possibilities of initiative. Initiative means you make threats that cannot be ignored. The second benefit of the Italian game is that it controls the center and attacks the king side. Controlling the center is very important because your pieces are able to attack more squares. As you can see with the bishop here, it's in the center and it's attacking the center squares, also the king squares as well, and there's also some squares it's attacking on the queen side. So there's huge initiative possible here. Controlling the center also allows you to move your pieces to their most effective squares. Moving pieces to their most effective squares means you're moving that piece to a square that will give them more mobility, more control over surrounding squares and pieces, a safer position, and more attacking influence. Developing your kingside minor pieces also means your king can castle as soon as the next move, as we can see here. Now, the benefits of castling is that it gets your king to safety, and as a new player, since you're still not that familiar with the board, it's easy for your king to get into a position where it's just being attacked because you missed a check or two. The second benefit of castling is that it actually connects your rooks. So after we develop all the minor pieces plus the queen, these rooks will be aiding each other and they become very powerful. They also defend the back rank. And a huge problem a lot of times is that the back rank isn't defended properly and it creates a lot of initiative for your opponent as they can back rank mate you. And lastly, it's important to consider that before you castle, your kingside rook is basically not in the game at all. It's blocked by the king and it's blocked by all these pawns. The first variation we'll be looking at for the Italian game is Gioko Piano, which starts with the move bishop to c5. Gioko Piano translates to the quiet game because it leads to a very meek position. Now, this opening is considered to be meek because of its focus on development and position rather than focusing on creating initiative as soon as possible. And as a new player, you should always make that your goal, to develop your pieces before you start attacking. After you have developed all your pieces and have a good position, you can also start to simplify by exchanging pieces and pushing for endgame. Pushing for endgame is a great way for you to win a lot of your games when you first start off, and to also, once again, focus on familiarizing yourself with the board. The first variation of the Gioko Piano is c3, which is the main line, and the idea behind c3 is to advance the d-pawn to d4 in order to attack the bishop and the kingside pawn. Black's most common response here is knight to f6 to attack this vulnerable kingside pawn. Now, what you can do here is move your d-pawn to d3 to aid in protecting this e-pawn. So with the main line, there's a few ideas besides attacking the e-pawn or the kingside pawn and the bishop. Another one is to attack the bishop by moving this b-pawn to b4 and chasing it away. It also stops this knight from coming in to b4 and possibly creating a fork here. The second variation of Gioko Piano starts with the move d3, and this is called the Gioko Pensimo, which translates to the very quiet game. The purpose of this variation is to avoid release of tension on d4 too early. early so that you can focus on development and positional play. The second variation of the Italian game is the two knights defense, which starts with the move knight to f6. Now, the two knights defense is known to be more aggressive and tactical of the two variations, since it allows white to come in with their knight to g5 and potentially fork the queen and the rook. What black will do here is move their d-pawn to fork the bishop and the kingside pawn, and white will take. Now, what black should not do here is take that pawn with their knight, because if they do that, it allows for the fried liver attack, which starts with knight to f7, and then it forks the queen and the rook, and the king has to take, and then we have a check on f3 with the queen. Now, this check allows us to attack this knight twice, whereas they only have one defender. Their best move here is king to e6, but king to e6 here is still not that good because we can continue development here. And now we are attacking this pinned knight 3 times while they have 2 defenders. So it's just not a good position for black at all. Now, in order to avoid this position for black, here are the moves you have to make. Now, you make the move d5 and white takes. And instead of taking with the knight here, what you want to do is actually move this knight out of the way to a5 to attack this very strong bishop. Now, black's knight is attacking this bishop, and if this bishop is lost, the fried liver attack is no longer possible. So that is how you stop the fried liver attack if you're black. Those are all the important ideas to know if you want to improve your rating playing the Italian game. And let me know if you have any questions or comments below. Thanks for watching.